knock on wood, that I got everything right this time. We all know how the technical issues go with me. I did forget to turn on one of my lights, my ring lights here, which this is my fussy one. It doesn't work when it doesn't want to. But we are here for our writing sprints after weeks of me being gone and not here. And I apologize. I really missed you guys, and I really missed the writing sprints and all of that stuff. It's good to see you here, Dexter, and everybody else that's out here. And yes, the I brought back this live stream, Dexter. Yes, I did. And yay, I'm glad that you're out for a walk, because it probably is great weather wherever you are. Yeah, it was a long few weeks. When I went to Mexico, which if you check on my shorts, I have a video there from that, and my husband's in that. That was like half work, half fun, or two-thirds work, one-third fun. But when I went there, not gonna lie, I did not want to go, even though it was a cruise and it was work. I did not want to be there because I had been traveling so much, and I was ready to be home. Because you guys know, I went to Dallas, I went to New Orleans, I went to a bunch of different places in the last 7 weeks, and I've been speaking and at a bunch of events and doing a ton of things lately. So I was tired, and my volume is 3 out of 5. Well, I was working on that, and I thought maybe it seemed a little low, but then I didn't want to like blast you guys. So let me turn it up a little bit more. I just didn't want it to be like too much. So let me know if that, I didn't want it to just go a little bit better. Minus 11 degrees Celsius, Silver Alley. That just sounds horrible. I know I mean, I know we stupid Americans do not go by the metric system at all. And I had to keep Googling to see what temperature it was in my room, because they had it obviously on Celsius in Dubai. And I was like, okay, I'm too cold. I was cold the whole time that I was there, because it's hot. So they have the AC on everywhere you go. And that was very cold for me. I'm a baby the older I get. And thank you guys for welcoming me home. It was a heck of a trip. And I do have my little camel here. And I did get a little stuffed camel back here. I think we need to name her. I think she needs to have some kind of like a name on the channel. And maybe I'll feature her in some videos. It's a her because she has a pink little Dubai thing. So yeah, it's a little like posable one. And I bought like a little tiny stuffed one for my granddaughter. But this one was just for me. And she's kind of like silly, like the ugliest dog competition. She's got that little tuft of hair. So I think we need to give her some kind of a name for the channel. And she'll be a lot easier and more cooperative, I think, than Daisy. Who Daisy was so glad to see me, but she really loves the dog sitter. So she's sad when she leaves the dog sitter. But she was weird when I went to pick her up. And I met the dog sitter at a parking lot, because it was halfway between us. And my dog, I could tell, recognized my car, because as soon as I pulled in, she starts pulling on the leash trying to get to me. So it was awesome. 10 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees by Niagara Falls. I just read a book, Dexter. Did I tell you guys that went last time? That was set in Niagara Falls, called Cataract City by Craig Davidson. It was pretty good. It wasn't awesome, but it was pretty good. Gayla, nice to see you here. And Rock, nice to see you here. And when she has coffee, is it one hump or two? I think that's hilarious. I think she has, I don't know how many humps. I don't think she has any humps. I don't think they gave her a little hump, really. Let me go back and see. No, there's no hump on this camel. There is, however, a cutout for a hump, which maybe they didn't think it looked cute on the stuffed animal. I don't know. But if you guys have name suggestions, let's put it in the chat, and we'll try to name her. And then you're gonna probably have to remind me, unless I like hang a tag on her, because I'll forget. Let's see. A Thousand Great Books asked, have you come across writers who work at night? My routine is messed up because I work night shift, and writing is only sometimes easy. Is it viable to write at night? It absolutely is. I mean, when my kids were little, I got up at 4:30 and I worked early in the morning, and then I would print out my pages, take them with me, and put little edits in throughout the days. And then when the kids and everybody went to bed, I would go back and work on them again between like 10 and 11. For me, I have like this full-time company that I run, and then I have the channel, and then I have all the other stuff that I do. So my writing ends up fitting into whatever time I have, which sometimes is late at night or on the weekends. So I think if you can find a way to sort of like reboot yourself and get that energy back up at the end of the day after work. For me, my trick was to always leave off in the middle of a scene, so that I was really excited to come back and finish that scene. And the whole day I was kind of cooking that scene in the back of my head and making little notes on my notepad. Then I think it can totally work. It's hard to write a book and have a family and, cook dinner and go to work and all of the millions of things that we have to do just to have life, right? So if whatever you can do to make it more enjoyable and more exciting and something that you look forward to will make you more productive, is my opinion. Um, and yes, like Hemingway. Well, Hemingway also drank. So I don't know that that necessarily works. He drank a lot, as far as I know. I always joke about that. It worked for Hemingway. I can do it too. But I do not write well if I'm drinking or doing anything else. Like I have to kind of have like just uninterrupted time where I'm not being interrupted by phone calls or whatever. Sometimes on the writing sprints, people forget that I have this live stream and they'll call me, as you guys have seen, or text me or whatever, and it totally takes me out of where I'm at. I can write in little snippets like what we're doing here, but I really prefer to have an hour or two where nobody's bugging me, which is almost impossible when you run a company. So I try my best. I do have a writing sprint today, a writing prompt for you guys based on travel, because I thought that was apropos. And I shared a video on yesterday, I think, or the day before, with a lot of pictures and stuff from my trip to Dubai. It wasn't even everything that I did. I took so many videos and so many pictures, so that you guys could see some of it. And then I also tied it to writing lessons that I learned. Do I like Lewis's novel, The Monk? I have not read that one, so I'm not familiar with it. Right now, I'm finishing up Starvation Lake by, I totally forgot his name. Bruce Curley, I think. He's a new author, or at least the book says he's a new author. Um, I saw it recommended by somebody that I knew, and so I picked that up. And it's been okay. It's not grabbing me towards the end. I think because part of the subject matter is hockey, and I have almost zero interest in hockey. So I skip the hockey parts and I get to the mystery parts because that's what I'm really excited about. And then I'm reading King Sorrow by Joe Hill, and I showed you guys that book on the channel on a short a few weeks ago. It's ginormous and it's a hardcover. It's huge. So I did not bring it with me when I traveled because just the thought of lugging that on a plane was was just really disheartening. But I had it waiting for me. But I took Starvation Lake with me, so I had already started that. I'm like, all right, I'll finish Starvation Lake, which I'll finish tonight, and then I'll go back to King Sorrow, which left off in a really good spot. So I'm looking forward to that. I love Joe Hill. I got that book autographed, just like I have heart-shaped box is sitting on my desk in front of me. It's under a pile of like 15 other books, but that's also autographed because I really, really like his books. And he does a lot of pre-orders from the bookstore in his town where he lives, and he'll go in and autograph them and stuff. He's really supportive of that. So I love that. And I probably should do something like that for US viewers because I think that would be something cool that you guys would like. I have to figure out how to do all that. What I need is like somebody that just sets that shopping part up. You all know my challenges with technology, and the shopping part is like it's like a website unto itself. I do have it listed somewhere, I think, on my Shopify site, but my Shopify does not like my YouTube, and my YouTube doesn't like my Shopify, so I can't get it to integrate correctly. I don't know. And somebody quoted me like $3,500 to fix it. And I was like, no, I'm not paying that to fix something where I sell a t-shirt for like 15 bucks. So there are t-shirts and things on my Shopify site. It's just hard to get to because the YouTube won't let me connect it for some reason. Anyways, let's get to our first sprint, which will be 15 minutes. We do them in short periods because I like to just, get back to talking about writing and answering you guys' questions about writing. So if you have a question or you have something that you want to know about or you're having a problem with your work, totally feel free to drop it in the comments. I have a video coming out next week on first lines. I actually had it ready and loaded before I left and totally forgot to hit publish. But so it'll be out on Monday because that was something we shared here a few weeks ago when we had a writing sprint. A lot of people shared their first lines. So I talked about that and what goes into a really good first line, and that will be out on Monday. All right, so let's do a sprint and we'll be back in 15 minutes. Maybe my timer will work. Maybe it won't. You know how that timer likes to go. Anyways, I will see you guys in 15 minutes. totally lost track of the time myself. Usually I set my timer on my side and I forgot. And then I try to check in anyways to see if my timer's off. But hey, a little extra writing time. I was really into the scene that I was working on. This is the book that I sold to HarperCollins, and I've got to get my first 3 chapters in by December 15th. They're kind of fleshed out, but they wanted me to move a couple things around. And so I've got to, I wanted to add another character to this opening scene because I felt like it took too long before there was any action. Sometimes when you're reading your book back, and I talk about this in, I don't know if it's the video that just came out or one that's coming out, because I record in batches. So sometimes I forget where everything is. If I get bored when I'm reading it, then I know that that's a sign that something has to happen here. And at first, when I put that character in, when I first started this during the writing sprint, I made him kind of a cranky, irascible old man. And then I thought, it doesn't really work. It's not really flowing, even though it would be kind of fun. And I have a plan for him to get hurt or killed in this book. I don't think that that would have as much of an emotional impact on the character as on the reader. And so I ended up making him somebody that had been hurt and now he is confused and frail. So if he gets hurt in the book, which I never really know actually until I get there, then it will be so much more heartbreaking for the reader. So we'll see if that happens or not. I just really wanted to make my hero have a little bit more heart early on in the book. And so I gave him a moment with his uncle that is living with him in the scene that I just started. Dexter asked, when is the submission deadline for manuscript feedback and when are they starting? It used to be every other Monday, and I have just been so busy. So what I've been thinking about doing, and I'm just going to post this at the beginning of the year for you guys, is just like accepting submissions once a month and then doing a video that wouldn't be a live, but one that I record where I could go through it. Or maybe I could record it, do it as a live. I'd have to do it like on the weekend or something because my weekdays are so unpredictable for me. Sometimes I'm in the office, sometimes I'm not, sometimes I'm at a meeting, sometimes I'm not. So I would hate to schedule it and then be rescheduling it all the time. So I could either do it as like a live on like a Sunday, which I don't know, that's also kind of hard sometimes too for everybody, or just do it as a video. I think that would be the easiest thing for me to do is do it as a video like I've done with the Q&As. You guys wouldn't have a chance for feedback in that, but you could always talk to me in the comments and I could always do a follow-up answer video too from that. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do with that because it's a time suck on my end, which I don't mind because I like helping you guys, but I have to have the time to be able to dive in sufficiently into what you have. And usually, even though it's only a couple hundred words that you guys submit for the manuscript feedback, I read it 2 or 3 times. Once just to read it, twice, the second time to kind of figure out what the problems are, and then the third time to start fixing it. And when you guys have seen the manuscript feedback, you know that I do a lot of input in there. And so that takes me time, just like you guys for writing it originally. It takes me a lot of time to figure that out and then put it together so that I know what's going on and what the problems are, and then how I can explain it to you. Because sometimes I just know there's something wrong, but I have to think about how I'm going to explain it, which is part of what has made this channel so good for me too, because I have to explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So the long answer is I don't know. I keep thinking about what I'm going to do with that, and I want to make sure that it works for everybody. And the easiest way would probably be to just allow you guys to submit, and then I do a video on it rather than a live, so that I don't have to stick to a schedule for it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, because I really want to have feedback from you guys. Or maybe we just do a live once a month on that. Whatever you guys think would be good. I loved doing them. I thought they were really fun, and I think you guys learned a lot from them. So let me know your thoughts. Where can one look for critique partners? Dexter asked, and I have done that through other writers that I have met. Like you guys know writers on this channel here that you have met, or there's writers in my community, which the link is in the description to the community. That's where all the free downloads live, and the links to my classes and everything's in the community. That's a way to kind of like connect with other writers and find a critique partner that way. If you find somebody that seems to be writing something that is around the same sort of kind of the same genre as you, because the other critique partners that I have had have been either writing like straight suspense or a different kind of romance. When I had a critique partner back when I wrote romance, and then the critique partner I have now writes straight suspense. So they're slightly different from me because I'm doing romantic suspense. And I basically just connected with another writer and said, "Hey, you want to try this for a chapter and see how it goes?" And that's exactly what we did. We have the person that I'm working with right now is a very similar thinker to me, so she sees the same kind of things that I do, but the things that I am blind to in my own book. Like I can tell her, "Oh, you're doing X, Y, Z wrong," but she comes back and tells me the same thing. So it's been a good pairing. And don't be afraid to go through a few people. Maybe you just exchange a scene and you find it doesn't work. That person doesn't give you the kind of feedback that you need. They just tell you everything's perfect. And so you're like, thanks, that was great, but I think I need somebody more hands on. And just move on to somebody else, because a critique partner is a partnership like anything else. Um, and Rock accidentally replaced several paragraphs in the work in progress, so technically a negative word count. I have done that. I have also more than once had to recover a lost document in Word. A lot of times it's in my temporary files. The computer that I'm working on today has an auto save all the time to the OneDrive, which is probably the best option for me because I lose stuff constantly. Um, and KW, I have talked about writing query letters way back when I first started the channel. The key to a good query letter, and I think I talked about this in the Dubai video, I want to say. Maybe I didn't. I can't remember. The key to one is to make it compelling from the first paragraph. So the mistake that 99% of people make when they write a query letter is, I have just finished a 90,000 word historical romance on blah, blah, blah. That is the most boring opening that you can possibly have. And you have to think that an agent or editor has seen a billion of these, like literally a billion. And if that's what they see right off the bat, they're like, oh God, another one, right? They're not intrigued. It's really more of a back cover blurb. You want to have that really quick one-liner at the beginning that intrigues them and makes them want to read more. I don't have the book in front of me, but the guy that I met at the Sharjah Book Fair in Dubai had this really great high concept pitch. And I was immediately like, oh, tell me more about your book. That's what you want to create. So study the backs of other books. And I've got this towering stack of books here, so hopefully it doesn't all come up down on me. But this little, like even Lucy Foley's little, the guest list, an exclusive wedding on a remote Irish island, all have a secret, all have a motive, but only one is a murderer. That's a heck of a hook. And it's all these little short lines. It works really, really well. Janelle Brown's Watch Me Disappear. It's been a year since Billy Flanagan went on a solo hike and vanished. Boom, I'm excited about that. I want to know what happened to Billy Flanagan. Where did she go? So if you open your query letter like it's a back cover blurb, you're more likely to grab the agent's attention. They honestly do not care if it's 93,672 words or 52,753 words. They want to know, is this something I can sell? And if it's something that intrigues them, then they'll be more interested in it. It also has to be in the tone of the book. If you're writing a comedy, for instance, you don't want a boring query letter. You want to make the reader laugh on the first paragraph when they're looking at the query letter. If you're writing a suspense, you want to make them wonder more, die and turn the page. You want to have that kind of a mood in there when you write the query letter. So think of it like a back cover blurb that's really grabbing their attention, just a paragraph right there, because you want them to say, okay, I want to read this book. It's a sales tool. It is not here's my resume, I'm applying for a job. It's a sales tool, because they won't take it on if they can't figure out how to sell it. So that's the key. And Rock said found a willing beta reader for the novel, and the local critique group, which is Slug Tribe here in Austin, does my alpha reads. That's pretty cool. There's a local group here in the Tampa Bay area. I don't actually live on the Tampa side. I live on the other side of the bay, but they have like a critique group where they get together and they talk about things. Again, you're just really looking for seriously constructive feedback. If you want an ego stroke, then just go to your aunt, right? Or your mom. Like those people will be like, oh, this is wonderful. Everything's great. You want somebody that's going to say to you, this plot is not holding together here. There is not enough internal conflict here. Or I'm not really feeling any emotion on this page. You want them to be not brutally awful honest, but like helpfully honest and really help you tear that apart. And yes, KW, it's a quick pitch. It's not a formal business letter because they get a billion of them and they are so bored. I've been to conferences where agents and editors have read query letters out loud, and it's hilarious, but also heartbreaking because they're like, I have just submitted a 90,000 word historical, and they'll just sit there and go, oh, this is so boring. And that's an immediate, I just don't even want to see it. So you've got to think about it like you're just meeting a brand new neighbor and you want them to be really intrigued and come back for more. So that's what it's all about. Because in the end, everybody in publishing is selling this product to the reader. So you have to give them a reason to want to sell it to the reader, which means making it sound like something that anybody would buy. It's really what I mean. Yes, we write from our hearts, and yes, this is a creative thing, and yes, art is something that means a lot to the creator, but this is a business to everybody else. So you really want to make sure that you make it sellable. So that's my advice on query letters. It's the same thing with a synopsis. I have a method of writing a synopsis that is a lot easier, and it makes it make a lot more sense. And it kind of goes along with that care method video, which I've talked about a bunch on the comments and stuff on the channel. But that care method video is how you write a synopsis as well. It's the character takes this action. This is the ramification from it. This is what happens. And here's the emotional impact and how that fuels the next action. Boom, 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 A, B, C, D, over and over and over again. And you can show the escalating tension in the book. You can construct that first paragraph of the query letter the same way. It's just in much broader strokes. So study these back cover blurbs and look at what made you pick that book up and why you were so intrigued by it, and really study the ones by the books that have been successful in your niche. So that's a long-winded answer. All right, let's go and do 15 more minutes, and then we'll come back and answer any other questions. That time I put my timer on, so I got it right this time. Came back like 30 seconds before and watched it count down. I was working on the scene between the two main protagonists, because that happens early in the book where she comes to town and somebody is trying to kill her. So I've got that suspense right there on that first page, or the first few pages of the book. That's the other thing that you definitely want to set up, whatever your genre is. You want to make sure that that genre is clear right away in the first few pages of the book, because a story is a promise to the reader. There's a book that's called that. And it talks about how those first few pages are a promise to the reader that this is the ride we're going on. So you want to make sure that you did that. Great job, Hustle of Raleigh. 127 the last time, 187 this time. I type super fast. So I did a lot of words, but it's because I type really, really fast. And I had kind of a plan going into this when I came into the writing sprint, because I knew what I was going to work on. And I had left myself notes. I do that a lot of times. I'll leave myself notes in the comments of my Word document so that I remember, oh, yeah, I've got to work this in and work that in. And then I'm also cutting at the same time. Like I had some banter between the two protagonists, and it went on, I felt a little too long because, of course, she just realized that somebody's trying to kill her. So probably not the best time to joke, even though a lot of us would joke, just to kind of take away some of the anxiety. I may end up putting a joke back in, but it won't be that one, just so that I can add a little levity to the scene. Writing to me is all an instinctual thing. Like, what do you feel should happen right here? Do you feel like it should have a little more pathos, a little more action, a little more dialogue, a little more whatever? The more you read, the more you develop that. Great job, Brock. 158 words. You guys are rocking it today. And we had like no technical issues except for me coming back a little late from the 15 minutes. I'm super proud of myself. Tonight is the 5-year anniversary of my first date with my husband. So we're going to go, oh, well, yesterday was, we're going to go out to dinner tonight. And Gayla, the book I just mentioned, is A Story as a Promise. I put it in a video, might be in the first line video that comes out on Monday. It's an old book. I remember reading, I don't even know if I read the whole thing, but I read it a long time ago, because I've been writing forever. But the basic premise of the whole book is that those first few pages are a promise to the reader of the ride they're going on. And so you want to make sure that it meets that promise. If you start off making them laugh and then it turns out to be like a crazy serial killer Hannibal Lecter type book, the reader's going to feel ripped off because that's not what they signed on for. But if you start out with a lot of danger and all of that, then when you put your Hannibal Lecter character in there, it's going to be more believable and the reader's going to be primed for that ride. So you really want it to have that consistency from page one to the end so that the reader feels it. That's not to say that you can't add humor and you can't add, really sad scenes, or you can't add scenes that are a little lighter than the dark stuff that you're writing, or a little darker than the light stuff you're writing. You want it to be just consistently the same experience throughout the book. So you could, just like in life, we have a little bit of sadness, a little bit of joy, a little bit of stress, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And so you're creating this roller coaster essentially for the reader of things are getting worse, things get better for a little bit, then they get worse, then they get a little better, then they get worse. And that creates the tension. And all of that comes from those different moods that you set when you create the dark and the light and the humor and the sad. So use your instincts. That's like always my number one advice. I say it a lot, but use your instincts. You develop those yourself from being a writer and from working on your books. And if I had one piece of advice from the couple of conversations I had with writers this week, it is like, believe in yourself. When you talk negatively to yourself, which I totally get is hard when you're writing your book and you're getting rejected, like poor KW with the rejections on the query letters and stuff. It is so hard, particularly if you don't have anybody around you that's like, you can do this, you've got it. You've got to talk to yourself in a way that you become your best cheerleader and realize that you are learning a skill that very few people actually learn how to do well, and you are investing in your education, and everything that you are doing, every word that you are putting on the page is getting you closer to your goal. I think writers and artists and people in creative fields feel like the first thing that they do, if they have this natural gift, this natural talent, it should be amazing. But it's not. It's like learning to run a marathon. You might be a great runner, but that doesn't mean you can run 26.2 miles without stopping, without having all of these muscles that you have to develop and these skills for breathing and nutrition and all of this other stuff that you do as you learn it. So don't beat yourself up if you're quote unquote failing, because what you're doing is you're learning. You're learning what works and what doesn't work. And you're coming here to this channel, you're talking to me, you're watching my videos, and probably other people too, reading their books, doing whatever. You could read writing compelling fiction, which I always forget to mention, and learn how to do it. It's not something that happens overnight. So go you. You can absolutely do it. And everybody that wrote words during this and everybody that did the prompts and wrote with me, I appreciate that. Normally I'd stay a little bit extra, but we do have dinner plans because 5 years since we've been on our first date. So that's the kind of thing that you take a chance, you take a risk, and it can work out really, really well. So I do talk about that in the video that I just released the other day, where I have the Dubai stuff, and you see me riding a camel. And it was scary and fun at the same time. So again, if you guys have name ideas, maybe I'll put a picture of her up on the channel and get some input on some name ideas, because I have nothing in my head right now that I think I could name her. So I will be here. Will I be here next week? I will not be here next week because it is Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, and I am with my in-laws. I think we'll actually be out to dinner with all of our kids. So I will not be here next week. I know, but I should be here for the month of December. Yay. I'm not going anywhere for about 6, 7 weeks right now. So I should be here for a while. So I will see you guys in 2 weeks. And let me know, like I said in the comments, what you think about how I should do these manuscript feedback sessions. If you're open to me just doing it as a video, if you really, really want it to be alive so you can ask questions during it. And I'll try to figure out how I can do that if that's what you guys want, and what you're reading, what you're learning, all of that. So I appreciate you guys. I really appreciate that you guys came and wrote with me, because I always work harder under peer pressure. I don't know about you, but knowing you guys are watching me while I'm on the timer's running makes me work a little bit harder. So thank you guys, and I will see you and have a great Thanksgiving if you're